Let's go, girls. Welcome to Talk Wealthy to Me. I'm Michelle Taylor, founder of Women in Wealth. From breaking money myths to building wealth and achieving financial freedom, we're here to empower you to create your own path. Talk Wealthy. Now, join the conversation and let's change the way women think and feel about money. Okay, ready? Welcome back to Talk Wealthy to Me, where we're changing the way women think and feel about money and what it truly means to live a wealthy life. Today's conversation is a powerful reminder that wealth comes in many forms. Sometimes it looks like financial security and opportunity, but other times it's the peace, faith, and perspective that carry us through our hardest moments. My guest today, Megan Westmoreland, knows this truth deeply. As a wife and a mama of 3, she never imagined that cancer would be part of her story. But through it, she's seen the goodness of God even in the darkest valleys. She believes joy and grief can coexist, that laughter is a kind of medicine, and that no one's meant to walk their journey alone. Her story is one of faith, resilience, and redefining what wealth really means when health and hope are on the line. Megan, welcome to Talk Wealthy to Me. Okay, everybody, I am thrilled to tell you that we have someone here that is going to fill your cup. She is a quintessential hype girl and an all-around amazing person who is just so impressive. And I know you're going to think the same thing. So welcome, Megan, to the show.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that you're here.
This is my first podcast.
Well,
thank you.
This is not my first time hosting someone as the first podcaster.
Good.
So relax and just know that you're going to be fantastic.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So we were just talking before the show about lots of exciting things going on in your life. And like so many of the women and a few boys that listen, you are doing it all. You are a mom. Mm-hmm. You are a wife. You are a cancer survivor. And an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So
also, I need to add in like sourdough baker, Taylor Swift enthusiast, Friends addict. You know what I mean?
I mean,
rounds me out there.
It's the color to the black and white.
Correct.
So the sourdough thing, I love, but
it's my whole personality.
It's so good, and no one tells you that it's literally something that's living, the starter that you have to take care of like a baby. So I baked 2 loaves and I loved it.
Right.
And then I realized that when I had to go out of town and I didn't have anyone to do the feeder.
To babysit.
I figured I would just find good friends that bake sourdough.
It's silly how like you just get so nervous about flour and water. Right. You're just like, it's a living thing. It's perfectly fine. But I've had mine for like 2 years. He's wonderful. I'll bake you some bread. I should have done it today.
I would love that. Did you name him?
I did.
What's his name?
Leonardo DiCaprio. We love a good pun.
I love it. So, okay. I don't want to start with the obvious big elephant in the room, because what you've just come through in your life over the last few years, I think has been truly spectacular to watch. You have a very amazing way of opening the doors to your personal life and what you've gone through to the world. And I've gotten to see a lot on social media, and it was always a bit from afar because, you know, we knew each other, but to get a glimpse into it, I think that you just were doing so much good with that. So I love to dive into that. And maybe we should just start with the elephant in the room. So tell me all the things. You were healthy, had the life of your dreams, I'm thinking. And then God tapped you on the shoulder and said, you're going to sit down and take a beat.
I found my lump in October of all months. Very cliche. 2023. And this is my PSA to do self-checks. I didn't. I don't dwell on the fact that I didn't. I think when you go through a hard season, your mental game is the is of utmost importance. And I never like let myself think, well, what if I had just done this? What if I had, but had the mammogram, ultrasound, biopsy, and they called me on November 7th of 2023 and said, I'm so sorry, it's cancer. It was a stage 2 and they knew that my tumor was kind of large. But I went through traditional chemo, and then that summer of 2024, I had a mastectomy, and they found that the tumor was the size of an orange. So
oh my gosh.
Huge. And then I had 18 lymph nodes on my left side taken out, and they were all positive for cancer. And then I went through the summer kind of thinking like, that's it, I did it, I'm done. And started delving down the like holistic and integrative route. And I found a place out in Arizona called Invita. And I kind of went out there just thinking they're going to clean things up for me from chemo, kind of get me back on track. You know, they say that chemotherapy kind of ages you by like 10 years. And so I wanted to just get the toxins left that were in out. And unfortunately, they found that it had spread over to my right side, to a lymph node on my right side, which was like the only upgrade in life I've never appreciated. You know, they're like, I'm so sorry, but you're now stage 4 and metastatic. So they did do a procedure out there that they injected chemo like right into the lymph node, which is crazy, the stuff they're doing out there. Of course, none of it is covered by insurance. And so I do believe that Invita like healed my body, and I came home, and this year I did radiation, and then now December will be 1 year of cancer free. So
congratulations!
Thank you. I know,
it's amazing.
Cue the applause.
It's so like, good. Yay! Well, and there's so many things that I want to unpack there.
Yeah, that's like a 30-second of a 2-year. Long.
So number one, I hope no one listening ever understands what somebody who's dealt with this understands, where life is normal. And then it's like you walk in, do an appointment, and then you walk out.
A completely different person.
Everything has changed, and it is so quick. And so, you know, when I went through that, it was at 17, which came with its own hardships of being my senior year of college and cheering and all of that. But I cannot imagine doing it as a mom to 3 children.
Our kid, Emily's 10 now, Sunny is 7, and Jordan's 5. So reverse 2 years. We were really hesitant at first about telling them. And I remember looking at my husband like, well, I'm going to be bald at some point, and they're going to notice that something's going on. And it's funny because we sat them down for dinner the night we told them. And I just said, hey, mommy has to tell you something. And they had never heard the word cancer before in their life. And, you know, I just said, mommy's sick. And of course they're like, but you don't look sick. I'm like, well, I know it's inside, but it's going to be fine because God's going to heal mommy. But she has to do this thing, and it's going to take her hair away. And I had kept it as short and simple as humanly possible. And I got done talking, and I just was like, so does anybody have any questions for mommy or daddy, you know? And like, I can see the 3 of them just kind of like looking at each other at the dinner table. And I had literally made like steak and French fries for dinner. And my middle just goes, is there any more French fries left? And I just was like, and that was just kind of like the catapult for how my kids dealt with me having cancer. And that's where it's like to have faith of a child that they like their innocence. And they're the reason I got up in the morning and put one foot in front of the other, because what was the alternative?
Well, right.
You know, like what I tell people that a lot, you know, we're not promised an easy life by any means, you know, and so I got up in the morning, 1, because of the strength that the Lord gave me, and 2, because of those kids.
You had to.
So, I had to. There were plenty of times where my husband was like, I don't understand why you don't ask for more help. And I'm just like, because I don't want, you know, being a mom, you're just like, no, I'm going to take them to school, and I'm going to pick them up, and I'm going to pack their lunches. I'm going to do all of the things that we have to do on a day-to-day basis that, quite honestly, we take for granted that we're able to do those for our kids.
Well, and it's a sense of normalcy that you cling to.
Right. Because everything else is completely out of control.
Everything is different. And I remember when I, you know, was in school and, you know, senior year, and I was a cheerleader and all of the things, right? So everybody knew. And when it was the first 2 weeks of summer and then the first week of school, and then I went back in, and very, very fortunate to have gone right into remission. But same thing, like I had a wig. And I remember people coming up to me and saying, and all you want to say is, I don't want any special treatment. I don't want help. I just want normal.
Yeah.
Because everything else felt so abnormal. So I think that anybody that's gone through it would resonate with that so much. I don't want help.
Yeah. And there are times now where like I look back even 2 years ago and I'm just like, I am a completely different person, both appearance wise, but also, you know, like mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all of it, a completely different person.
Well, in mindset, you know, and obviously mindset's so important to everything in life. And I remember my doctors saying to me and my parents, her mindset right now is why she's doing so well. Because like you, there was no question of, oh, well, what if this happens? Or what if I die? Or I just, as soon as the diagnosis, that's when everyone around me got upset. I was most upset about the idea and the waiting to find out. And then the idea of losing your hair. But once I knew what I was facing, it was almost a sense of calmness to say, okay, let's go. Let's just get this done and let's go.
From the beginning, it's one of those things where I remember the first surgeon I talked to was just like, it's stage 2 and you'll be fine. And then like that December, I had an appointment with Moffitt and they're like, we think it's in your chest. And saw the Lord do an actual miracle in my body. And it was a negative biopsy. Only for it to, you know, of course, it's like I get through that stage 4 scare. And then I'm just like, really, bro? You know, like,
again, we got to do this now.
But the roller coaster in itself, I just remember at the very beginning, like, I am going to get through this for my kids and my husband. You know, like I tell him all the time, like, I want to be 80 years old, strolling the streets of Paris. And I want to hold my grandkids in my hand and see my 5-year-old graduate from high school. And I remember just asking the Lord for peace at the very beginning of all of this. And like Philippians 4:6 says, you know, like, don't worry. Ask and you'll be given in prayer and thanksgiving and like a peace that surpasses all understanding. And that's the only way I can explain it, right? Yeah. Because I don't think you don't get to sit at 35 years old with stage 4 cancer and 3 young kids and go, well, Google says I have 5 to 10 years left. So like, I'm fine. You know, like that's just not how you do things. And even if it's not cancer, if it's infertility or marriage or a financial problem or life in general getting overwhelming, your mental game is the most important thing. And I think coming with that, it's you get to say yes to things more that you want to, you know, like let the kids stay up late, go on that trip. You know, you can't take all this stuff with you. But also hard boundary lines of no, this relationship isn't serving me right now. I have to take a step back. No, getting so stressed out about a 4th grader and 2nd grader's grades. They're fine. They're going to be completely fine. That's not something that I need to waste all the stress on. So, you know, like I tell people all the time, I get to live in this like YOLO mentality because.
Well, and it's such an amazing perspective. I've said so many times to people, the fact that this happened to me at 17 was such a blessing because it does shift your perspective on everything.
Right.
Nothing is a big deal.
No.
And Jason and I will be talking about something or, you know, in traffic and he's getting upset. And I say, don't sweat the small stuff.
Right.
And he looks at me and says, it's all the small stuff.
Right.
And then when I say exactly, it just means something different to both of us.
Right.
And,
right.
you know.
Yeah. There are times where like, you know, some of my best friends will be talking about something. I'm just like, you guys, perspective on life. You know what I mean?
It really
like
doesn't matter.
It's not going to matter. And so that's a gift. And I know that like that's a gift in itself.
Indeed. Yeah. So you went through this journey. But let's back up because some of the things that you did, you were able to do because of good decisions and good stewardship of your finances. As you mentioned, a lot of these different treatments. I had a stem cell transplant at 17 before that was a thing.
Right.
It wasn't covered by insurance. And my mom ended up, because my parents were divorced, it was just in her name. She ended up filing bankruptcy afterward because they told her you can pay $20 a month until she dies. It doesn't matter for 100 years. But after the treatment was done, then the harassment started and she couldn't handle it.
Yep.
So there's those different, Arizona facilities that are going to help, but also now fully embracing, a more holistic lifestyle and doing the good and the wellness is not inexpensive.
No. So 10 years ago, my husband started a company with a friend and the Lord just abundantly blessed that. And, we were very faithful with our tithes and stewards where that money went. My husband is the most selfless human being I know. He's one of those guys that like you call him and you're like, I'm sorry, I'm late. I got a flat tire. He'd be like, that's okay. I got you a new car. You're fine. He just is like always, meanwhile, I'm just like, you did what? He gives and gives and gives and gives. And so I will make the dark humor joke all the time. Like, do you think that financially we were fine because we had cancer coming our way, But like truly we were blessed so financially by God. And so I was able to go to a facility like Invita. And I did mean to look up how much it was like per week, but we're talking close to 10 grand, like a week out there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And none of it's covered, and that's a whole nother conversation of how heartbreaking that is.
I know.
But I do believe like that's what healed my body. That's what set me up on the track to go forward, and even sitting here now, like the supplements I take in the morning and the night, I have a handful every day and that's expensive, and going to get high dose vitamin C's every other week and Oura rings and infrared saunas. Correct. The infrared sauna things that we got, the cold plunge, which I did use this morning and it was freezing.
I mean, it's hard on a good day. Yeah. But on a cold day in Florida,
just do it. Yeah. But all of these things, it was never and is never and will never be lost on me that this is a privilege that I have gotten to take care of my body in the way that I do, because most people do not.
It's so hard.
Most people do not. And we know that. We know that for sure. So,
and like you said, that's a whole other topic. Yeah. But I think that it does make you ask the question, for anybody listening, take us back.
Yeah.
So as a young girl growing up, what was the financial landscape like for you? Did you come from a home that taught you all the things to set you up? Did you grow up thinking, I want to strive to do better? What did all of that look like for you?
I mean, both of my parents were extremely hardworking. My dad, after his 9 to 5 when we were kids, for a while served pizzas at night to make ends meet. That was the 90s. If you didn't make it, then you figured out how to do so.
The hustle,
right? It was like you go to college, you go to high school, then you go to college and you get a good job and then you provide for your family. When we moved to Florida, it kind of flip-flopped and my dad lost his job. So then my mom was like the financial leader of the family. And so I know that was so hard on her, but yet I still look back at my childhood going like, life rocked.
It was awesome.
Like it was awesome. And so, we grew up definitely with like, if you want something, you work really hard for it and you do all that you can to get to where you want or how you want and things like that. And then, I didn't ever really know what I wanted to do with my life. I, called it a D for done kind of kid in high school. Bless my parents.
C equals degree, whatever.
Right, yeah. C for complete. And so I went to college for creative writing, and then I found photography, which I love, for a little stint there. And then I had Emily, and it was just like a light bulb went off, like, okay, you are meant to be a stay-at-home mom. Like, I just like, this is what the Lord had created me to do. But all along, like, I loved writing and that kind of creative outlet. And then, like, I served tables for 10 years. And like, right when Sunny and I first got married, I was serving tables. And then we just looked at each other one time. We're like, let's just move to Orlando and see what the heck happens.
That's awesome.
And we could, and he was just starting his company then. And so it was like, let's just do it, And so we did, and we've been here ever since. I think it's been like 10, 12 years we've been in Orlando. Yeah, Emily is 10, so about 12 years. We love it. This is where his company is. This is where our family is and our life is. And, I think going forward, looking at where we've been and how the Lord has blessed us so much financially, it's completely different. I'm living now, and my kids, I tell them all the time, like, you guys live a very different life than how mommy ever lived. They have no clue.
But you know what's awesome about that is growing up, we didn't have a clue either.
Yeah.
So normal. You just look and you're like, this life is great.
This is normal. Yeah.
And I think it's more in reflection, or maybe when you get to be in high school that you start to see that someone has more or less than you. But yeah, they're just like, what do you mean? This is normal.
Right. They're asking for caviar at Pop Stroke. I was like, oh no, like this is just my kids are so different than when I grew up, but they also, it is all about how you were taught, and that's the thing. Like our parents just taught us, you work hard for what you want, but like life is really great no matter what,
that's right.
And so that's what we've instilled with our kids, that it's like, they're going to grow up one day. And that was always my hope and prayer, is that they'll look back and go, man, my mom went through this really hard thing, but her faith in the Lord, and she's just
her
going.
grit,
she never missed this. She didn't miss that,
Nope.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that you said something that's really interesting. And I don't know if any of us really know the answer, because kids coming up nowadays are fantastic. Mm-hmm. I love them. I have my kids and then nieces and nephews in all different stages. But in the 90s, you're right. It's so interesting to me that what you saw is your dad working a 9 to 5, coming home, doing something else to make sure that there was enough or abundance. And that was instilled in us, that just there's always an option to improve where you're at. Right. And I do feel that messaging is just a little bit skewed now. Yeah. So many kids, the first thing they do is think, oh, well, I'm just going to go on Instagram or YouTube. Yep. And the world has shifted. Yeah. Right. So many kids, and we have such a shortage in the trades. My dad was an entrepreneur. Right. So we saw it firsthand and saw what it could do. But there's just something that's different where kids don't realize how truly easy it is. And I hope that listeners, I tell them all the time, when you're thinking about, I have this big financial thing to overcome, maybe it's credit card debt, or maybe it's, you know what, I want to buy organic. Right. Or I want to get an infrared sauna because I know what the good it does. We all have the ability to introduce a hustle or something, a side gig. Right. And I think that we can all do better just talking about, what do you do? What do you look for? Right. And you got to see it firsthand. And I think it's also really interesting that you got to see your dad kind of drive the boat. And then you got to see your mom drive the boat. Mom. Yeah. Yep. And now you're in a marriage, and I can speak from just what I see. You guys approach everything. You have traditional roles in the sense that you're home with the kids and Sonny's out, building the business, but you're supporting him. Right. And it just feels that you have a very united approach to life. And I think that it doesn't matter who's the one that is leading the charge, as long as you're approaching it as a united front. Yeah.
I mean, and that was pre-cancer too, right? That was, what he needed to help, while it was his business. And he is the brains behind the operation. I'm just like, you got it, dude. Like, you're doing great, honey. What you need.
You can't. Yeah, you can't do it without a supportive spouse. I mean, I watched my dad and my stepmom, and I have Jason and I, and I get to go and do the things I do because he is the dad that would never say, oh, I have to babysit the kids. And it's like, well, you're their dad.
You're their dad.
Not a babysitter.
Kids all the time. Who's babysitting us?
Daddy!
Your dad.
I know. But he is never the dad that says, wait, I have to do bath and bed twice this week. Right. And I do think that it just takes that. So how do you and Sonny approach your lives and financial decisions, do you understand everything that's happening? Do you approach it, or do you have a trust that he handles it and you just know enough if anything happens? Like,
I make the joke a lot of like, well, when I swipe it and it gets declined, I guess that's my sign that things are over. No, just kidding. Like, so we're currently building a house, which is a huge blessing. And it was funny because at the beginning I told him, like, I trust you. I really, really do. I trust you with 99.9% of this. You call me when you want to know what color the walls are and what flooring we want.
And you decide.
And the rest of it, bro, it's all you.
Okay.
And so I think that's kind of how we, it's not that I'm sitting here like, the little housewife who doesn't have any idea what's going on.
Right.
And I think, but I also think that my husband is one of the smartest people I know. And so I know he would never make a decision that would put us or our family or anything else. And above all, the first thing it's like we tithe, and that is literally number one on his list. And so I have never, nor do I ever think I will ever have to worry about like what's happening financially with us, because he's such a good steward with his money. So yeah.
So do you remember when you were growing up, you saw the hustle, but were there conversations about money and what to do to be good stewards of your money, to invest? Or were you like most of us where really the conversations weren't happening?
I think it was like a little bit of both, right? Like we grew up, I was 15 and when I got my first job, and it was, my parents gave my little sister and I a car, but it was like we had to pay for the gas and anything that happened to it and stuff like that. They covered the rest. But we were also like, save your money, save your money. We were very much taught to save your money, and I'm thankful for that. Yeah. I do sit in a different position now where I'm just kind of like, well, I'm not saying you shouldn't save your money. And I'm not saying that, you don't need to have that little nest egg in case something happens, but also I can't take it with me. And so if that means I want to go on a trip to Paris, like, bonjour, I'm going, And so I think the way that we grew up looking at finances was very much like, no, you have to save your money.
Scarcity.
Right. We pay the bills and the rest of it goes into savings. And so I think, and what's cool about 2025 is like, I feel like we've kind of found a little bit of a balance. You know what I mean? And yeah, we're in a time where kids are making multi-million dollars off of toy reviews.
It's insane.
It's insane to me. I tell Sunny all the time, like, we should have exploited our kids. Like, they're cute, they're funny. We definitely would have made a lot of money off these kids.
That kid could have sold a Happy Meal on TV to somebody.
That's right. And so I think, and that's, I don't think that we spend enough time like realizing like what a gift that is, where it's like, okay, well, I like writing and I've been through something where like I can know how hard it is, and then maybe like pump other people up, like that can be a job. Whereas 1999, you'd be like, that's bananas. That's not going to happen. And so it's a gift that we get to live in this time where it's like, yeah, maybe we still have to work that like 9 to 5, but you can go home at 5 o'clock and like work your butt off to where in 6 months to a year, you don't have to have that 9 to 5 anymore. Cause like you're completely stable doing what you absolutely love. And that's a gift. That's a gift.
Especially for us growing, I mean, it was like no question you were going to college, because I think our parents.
No option. You went to high school, then you went to college. Yep.
Because our parents before us, not everybody went to college. Right. So then when they had kids, it was like, you're doing it. And now I think we're shifting a little bit back.
It's so fun. I was the first one. I have an older sister, and then I'm the middle, and my little sister. And of my parents and my older sister, I was the first one to go to college and get a degree, which I just call it like my piece of paper,
Yeah.
But, my kids all the time, they're like, do we have to go to college? And it's one of the, I look at Sunny like, I know I should be telling them yes, but also like, one, you could be athletically inclined, which is great for you. Or two, look what daddy built. Daddy built he didn't finish college, and so it's so funny when it's like, well, mommy went to college and daddy didn't, not that it's
right.
But at the same time, we live in a time where it's like, man, I don't have to push college right now. Obviously, if you want to be a heart surgeon, please go to college.
Indeed.
Please go to college.
And it's so interesting because planning in general for women is so different in and of itself. And I think that that's why there is such a disconnect with so many women around money, because so many of the people that sit in a seat like mine or similar to mine our guys.
Right.
And so for women, they have so many things to overcome. Number one, what are we saving all this money for?
Right.
Like
what
emergency is $30,000 where you're going to the bank with a suitcase?
Right.
And I think no one talks about, well, you can have money invested somewhere that it's daily liquid, but it's also growing.
But it's growing.
But really, what emergency, what are we all saving? And
Right.
so that's something that women do because of scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we also are now still coming through, so many of the roles that women have traditionally held,
Mm-hmm.
teachers, nurses, all of these things cost so much money to go to college for.
Yep.
And
then
they come out and they go to have student loans.
Right.
And, I think having conversations
Mm-hmm.
with the young people in our lives and saying, do I have to go to college, mommy
Right.
or auntie
Right.
or grandma, grandpa, dad,
Mm-hmm.
to say, we'll see.
Right.
And when women come in and will say, I feel guilt around not planning for college,
Mm-hmm.
but it also feels like, should I be planning for myself first? And I always say, yes.
Yeah.
It's just like in an airplane.
Mm-hmm.
Put the mask on yourself to help your kids.
And then, yep.
Because you're putting all this money into an account for school.
Right.
And then your child is a baseball player, is an entrepreneur like their
Right.
father,
Right.
mother.
Their purpose is like something else. And I think that's what we're kind of shifting focus of. It's not like, I want to be a teacher or a doctor or a plumber. And you're sitting here and then my purpose is something else. Like God's given me a different purpose
Mm-hmm.
than that. It's coaching or it's photography or it's, a private chef, all of these
Whatever.
things that were not conventional when we were growing up. And I think that's awesome.
And I think it's just having, again, the conversation of saying, hey, you love kids
Mm-hmm.
or you want to be a nurse or help people.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that in a way that will allow you to also own your own business if you wanted
Right.
to, or create
Right.
the hustle.
Yep.
Which brings me to my next point. Okay. So tell everybody listening. So again, I think that the journey,
Mm-hmm.
right? Obviously, divine intervention gets
Mm-hmm.
us so often where we don't even know we want to go or where we're headed. And so,
Or drags you along while you're kicking and screaming.
that's
Yes.
right. So you have some exciting things happening because through this journey
Mhm.
and through mindset and understanding, I didn't call you the hype girl in the beginning just because you are, but also because of now what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
I didn't have anyone beside me when I first got diagnosed that like could have walked this with me and said, maybe I didn't walk this exact same thing that you did, but I have been through an incredibly difficult trial and I have seen the goodness of God and I promise you there's an ending.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just was kind of like walking through the wilderness all by myself. And I want to change that because I think whether it's cancer or whether it's just like, I have a newborn and a toddler and I am just like, I'm so tired, like also been there. We have to link arms together as women, and just cheer each other on. And again, I think because of my perspective on faith, like we're not meant to do life alone and Lord doesn't let us do that alone, but to have an actual human being stand next to you and say, I believe in you and you're going to get through this and it's going to be really hard. And I think that's the biggest thing that sometimes as cheerleaders, we're like, you're great. You got it. You go, girl.
Yeah.
But we're not honest with each other about like, you're going to cry yourself to sleep a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really going to suck for a really long time. And the road is not just going to be this like straight line. It's going to be this curve back and forth. But there's an ending to this. Yeah. And so I'm really excited to start. I started, kind of speaking to moms groups like a year ago. And it was just one of those things where the Lord was like, this is what I have for you. And so I'm working on a book right now, which is really exciting. I call myself like an Instagram writer currently just because the book is not like out. But, and there's like such trepidation in actually saying that out loud. But the Lord, I didn't go through everything that I went through to not one, talk about how good he is, or two, help women that are doing the same thing.
Well, and I think that this is just could end up being what you were created to do.
Right.
I can't tell you how that resonates with me in a couple of different ways, because one, when I was sick, you don't know anybody at 17 that's sick.
Right.
And not many at 35.
Mm-hmm.
So I had one of my best friends, her boyfriend at the time had leukemia, same kind as I did, when he was like 7. And just somebody saying, oh, this person had it. And then you look at them and see, oh, but they're normal now.
Fine.
It's okay.
Look at, yeah.
It's such a comfort.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing would go for anybody. We know being an entrepreneur is very lonely. And if you're doing it alone, it's really hard. Going through a divorce, if you don't know anyone that's been divorced, that's impossible to go through. Infertility. And people will say to me sometimes that I'm an open book, and admittedly, I share anything. I will do anything like you will with your journey, because you understand the comfort of knowing that somebody can understand it. I was talking about losing my dad 7 weeks ago. And before I lost him, when someone would say they lost a parent, you're like, oh, I'm so sorry. But there is this sisterhood or club that you never want to belong to as a cancer survivor or losing a parent or going through a bankruptcy. But once you're in it, I almost feel like it is your purpose to be that person that now you are going to be, because it does make the journey easier.
It does.
For somebody else.
It does. I have thought about this for like a year, and it was one of those things that was kind of always on the back burner. And it's like, well, I have 3 children, so like I don't even have time to use the bathroom by myself, let alone get this all up and running. But this summer we actually found out that my mom got diagnosed with breast cancer, which has been a whole whirlwind of just like
emotions
and PTSD and all these things at the same time. She'll be fine because she's where I get my fight from, and she's amazing. At the same time, though, knowing that I can answer questions for her. And at the beginning, I was really mad about this. I was really, really mad. And I think that too is like to have the space to be angry, whether at life or at the Lord. I've had those real conversations. Like, I'm mad that this is happening. But also the amount of times where I've just gotten like a, hey, from my mom, like, hey, baby, thanks for answering that question. Just like a simple text that it's like, to be able, it's a strange like role reversal with your mom.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But just being able to be like, man, I answered that question for her, and what a relief that is. And that she has someone, her daughter, to say, well, do this, but don't do this, but make sure you ask this question. And I know that this is super overwhelming. And I remember calling her at the beginning, just like, I know this is so overwhelming, but like, take a breath and you'll be fine. And then we're going to move forward with this step, And so to be able to like walk with her through this is not something 0 out of 10 recommend, but to be able to do it with her is
a gift. And I think that having that person, it's almost like quieting the noise.
Yeah.
Because there's all these things and everybody's like, oh, this person I knew did this and just do this. And you're like, what do I do? And to have someone that you know, like, trust, respect, to say, and I have found, and I know it's almost weird, and I want to ask if you've had this happen, but going through IVF because of the chemo, when I hear about somebody that is going through something that I've been through, I almost feel this sense, an overwhelming sense of, oh, I'm so excited to give you some relief. And let me tell you all of the things. So I'd imagine hearing that news about your mom at first, trying to be in your shoes, I would have thought is the shock and the fear and PTSD.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard when you go through cancer to be around it. It's a mind game. But then I imagine you'd be like, okay, Mom, I've got you. Let me tell you what we're going to do.
This is what we're doing. And yeah, yep.
So with this new venture in your life, you are now going to be a best-selling published author and you are going to offer, so for anyone listening, you're going to be offering, and we already said, we don't want to call it coaching per se, but
like such a overused word.
Maybe, I don't know, like, let's just say consultant for this
It's a very professional word.
Yeah. And you can be a consultant on all the things, but basically you are going to be offering to be that, let's call it hype girl or wing woman to somebody that's going through a big moment in their life.
You know, I like to think of like grabbing arms with that woman and just cheering her on and being there to say, I know this is tough. Again, you're going to get through this. And I think there are times where, you know, stage 4 metastatic cancer is not a joke. And it's, you know, don't Google it, you know.
Oh my God, Dr. Google's the worst.
Honestly. But at the same time, I also look at it as like, I went through this really, really difficult thing. So it really doesn't matter what you bring me because like, sister, I've kind of
been there and done it.
You know what I mean? Yep. And so there is always, you know, I tell people like, you woke up this morning with breath in your lungs, let that be enough. And that some days that just has to be enough. And so I just want women to I always say like, I want some woman to stumble upon my Instagram and be like, oh, she gets it. She gets it. Like she absolutely gets exactly what I'm feeling right now in this situation and season where I don't feel like anybody can understand or like I'm floating in an island on my own. And so that's just my biggest hope and prayer, that I can like get to someone and say, I'm right here and we're going to do this together and you don't have to do it by yourself.
And it's not for just one. And I just want to make sure I'm delivering that message appropriately. It's not for just an illness or anything. No. It's really anything that life throws your way.
Again, I 10, 7, and 5. So it was like bang, 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 bang. And so I understand. I mean, I had a newborn in COVID with a toddler and a 5-year-old. You know what I mean? So like,
how do you
been there, done that? You know, and so you know, taking these like practical steps to. Again, like the mental game is the most important. Things like therapy and exercise and eating well and all of these things that it's like, these are teeny tiny little steps that are going to get you to the end, but they're going to make the ending that much better because you're going to grow and become such a better human in the process.
So if someone is listening to this and they're thinking, that sounds amazing, if you could paint the picture of who is the woman that should be looking for someone like you? What does life look like? She's going through something. She is open to having somebody guide her. What are those things?
I would say even the woman who like doesn't even know right now that they might need help. You know, the girl that's just every day she gets up and just goes, I'm so tired and I don't want to do this anymore. To have someone, you know, like myself, even if it's a text message of just like, okay, today we're going to do this to be better. And that's it. One little thing a day. And I think sometimes when you get into these like coaching arenas or when you read these, you know, like you can do it, girl, and self-help books, it's like, we're going to do 15 things today. You know, I always think of the episode where of Friends where like Ross has to move in with Joey and Chandler and Ross does like the mail and the laundry and the cleaning all in one day. And Joey's like, you've done too much. We do one thing a day. And then that's it. We just sit around the rest of the day. One thing a day is enough. You know, that's where the hustle culture, like we're hustling too much. And especially for the woman who is tired and run down and doesn't feel like the end of the week can get here fast enough or that she can't find any joy in life anymore. Again, if you woke up this morning with breath in your lungs, then there's joy to be found.
And it's so many people with the culture that we have now with everything being online, the thief of joy is comparison. And we are constantly being fed that. And doing the 15 things, I think it's ironic. I have a coach myself, and that's something I've been working on is just do one thing well first. And then we're going to keep moving.
The rest. Exactly.
Because so much of the chaos that us ladies feel is self-inflicted. And until we have someone like you saying, okay, pause. And sometimes you just need someone to say that so you can take a breath and go, okay, permission to pause.
Right.
Now what?
And saying like, I've been there. I've hurt physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. And I posted a reel a couple weeks ago of like the hard pictures and stuff that I took during treatment, and I had 2 people write me a message, and it was one of those like overwhelming sense of like, thank you, Lord, that were just like, I feel seen in this. And like, they're not going through cancer right now.
Mm-mm.
They're just like, life is a lot, but it's like to just see someone be real in an instant where it's just like, I kept it together 99% of the time because I have kids, and mentally that's where you have to be, but also you have to give yourself the space to not be okay. And so, yeah.
Well, and especially for you and what you have shared online, I would not be surprised to hear that so many women were impacted by it, because anybody that knows you locally, I mean, you have a beautiful, blessed life. And so to see somebody say, yep, one day I might be having fun, because you guys love Paris. One day I might be in Paris, but then the next day I'm going to post this picture of me having to go to this treatment center where I can't bring my kids.
Right.
And then for the woman that doesn't have it all together to feel like she doesn't have to pretend to, because if you don't, then I don't need to.
Then I don't need to. Exactly.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So I want to ask one more thing financially related. Okay. So with you and the conversations and the life lessons that you've had, what do you think are the most important things that you want to instill in your kids or anybody listening or a girlfriend that is starting over? What do you think? Is there one thing, a piece of advice that has served you well around money and finances and planning and goals?
I know I've said this, but I'm going to keep saying it. Tithing, number 1. And number 2, plan for the future, but also live life to that future. You never want to get to a point where you do need some money and you're like, oh crap, I should have saved something, but you can't let saving get in the way of living your life. And I think that's how we grew up. It was just like save, but then you're going to miss life. And that kind of goes with like the hustle culture in general. If we're constantly trying to get to the next big, better thing, you are going to miss what is right in front of your eyeballs. And so we try to teach that to our kids that, yes, we have a beautiful home that the Lord has blessed us with. We get to do fun things and go on fun trips. At the end of the day, though, it is truly what matters is the 5 of us, and that's it. And so, they're so young now. We actually like just started, like my 10-year-old, I'm like, okay, please unload this dishwasher, and they always go, well, can I have money for chores? And I'm like, no, I fed you and I clothe you. Like
you live rent free.
You live rent free. Right. Like, and so, and again, Sonny and I, and again, he is a very humble human being. And so he teaches the kids that, and it's humility above all else, and the 5 of us, and tithe your money. And that's what we try to teach them.
And I'm going to say this, and I think that is so wise. And I'm going to say this and try not to get emotional, but it's so true. Everyone is so focused on the end. And I watched my dad build this amazing business, and he was 3 months away from selling it.
Yeah.
And he passed away, and and he did a good job at living his life, but at the end of the day, live for today,
right? Plan
for tomorrow,
right?
But just seize the moment,
right? Because none of us are promised tomorrow. And I think, again, this is where, if I can say anything, stage 4 metastatic breast cancer was a gift. It was a gift, because I wouldn't look at life the way that I do if I didn't have it. It's like, you have to just find the joy and live life right now with what's in front of you, or you're going to miss it. And I think that's so true, especially moms with young kids. Just like, we get tired, and it's like, every day we wake up and do the same thing over and over again. But those small little pockets of joy is what you just have to look for, because they're right in front of your face. Something
that we started doing at home is, if there's some, small moment, I'll look at the kids. And it started off as a memory or a reminder to me. And now they know what I'm doing, where it could be something so silly, but if it's a fun moment, I will go like this and I'll tell them I'm locking it in, core memory. And it teaches you to appreciate the little things.
I did the office at the wedding. And they're like, mental picture, kind of thing. Yeah.
I have a paperweight at home that someone gave me and I will have for the rest of my life, but it says, always appreciate and cherish the simplicity of an ordinary day. And it's so true because the ordinary is where the extraordinary lives.
Right.
And unfortunately, we've learned that through trials and tribulations. And for anybody listening, it doesn't have to be cancer. It can be anything. But I do think there's so much power in realizing on the other side of this is going to be something that not only will shape me and make me better, but I can give to someone else.
Right.
And I have a very, very good friend, and she's she does all of the PR for Women in Wealth. And she always says, and she did it in her TED Talk, your story belongs as much to you as it does the people that need to hear it.
Everybody else, yeah.
So for any of you listening that think that you've been through this thing and it's not significant, share your experiences because it can change someone's life.
Even if it's one.
Even if it's
just one.
So for anyone that now is a huge fan of yours, like I know that they will be, where can people follow along, not only to see what is being launched and coming in the book, but also just to watch your journey? Because you have an amazing platform that you share on.
Thank you. Instagram. Find me on Instagram. And
what's your?
It's Megan E. Westmoreland is my handle.
Okay.
Come follow me.
And we'll tag all of that in the show notes. And I just want to thank you so much for being here. You did amazing.
Thank you.
And, these are the conversations that still come back to wealth and abundance. It doesn't have to just be about saving and investing and building wealth, because it's so much more than that. And I hope that you took some of that from today, because you have the best of the best here telling you exactly what it takes. And it is not difficult. It's sharing your story, linking your arm with someone else, and doing the best that you possibly can, and knowing that that's enough. As always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in and spending some time with me. And let's keep talking about these things and change the way women think and feel about money together.